This is a problem in my life. This is a metric fastener, and I don't like dealing with metric, especially at work. And guess where this metric fastener reared its ugly head? At work. And essentially, this is doing multiple things. Number one, it's quite long. Number two, it's threaded into the bottom of a motor. Number three, it's holding a foot, as it were a horizontally oriented motor. And then for the foot also ties in with the pallet. Now, I didn't bring the foot home with me, but picture this nut kind of snugging up right there. And there's also a white powder that's on this. I assume it's some sort of a thread locker. If you spin this out, even by hand, it doesn't have to be like with an impact or a battery-powered ratchet or anything. If you spin it out by hand with a breaker bar after you free it, it just smokes like it's a white smoke that comes out of the threaded hole. It's very strange. I'm thinking, again, it must be some sort of a new thread locker type of a thing. But when this first came in, I had the motor and I needed to get it in service for somebody. And I have nothing. I've got a lot of big hex stuff. Bondhus, Allen, like literal Allen brand even, like all kinds of old good stuff. And guess what I can't do with it? That, because this is 17 millimeter. Absolutely insane. You're thinking like, well, use your Wera stuff. At work, I took some Wera hex keys. They stop at 10, right? I have nothing remotely close to covering this size. So what do I do in a pinch? I can't like run out. You know, the Mac guy's not coming. I don't have suppliers that late in the day. I can't like run up and get something. I've got to get it going. So I did what anyone would do. I grabbed some 12-inch Cobras and I broke this thing free because it is tight, and got them out. And then of course I brought one of these home to try and figure out what the heck I was dealing with. And sure enough, the socket that fit it is right here. This at the end of the line is a 17 millimeter. This is a Pittsburgh set. This is a set I've recently picked up, minus this one, because I took that to work to use in future situations when I found I was going to have to do that more and more frequently. So I have my 17 that I robbed from a set here. Bought this. What was the price of this to get me by? Luckily, I lucked into a sale. It's on like their monthly coupon type of a thing, so not much off. I want to say I paid like $12.99 for it. This is usually sub $15 full price, right? Not the best deal, not the worst deal, but a fairly solid deal for going basically 4 to 17. Now, what Harbor Freight elected to do, I've got a 10 sitting here. It's popped off on us. But 4 through 10 is 3/8 drive. 12, 14, 17 is going to be half-inch drive. And you're thinking like, okay, yeah, you know, what's the catch? Why are you mentioning that? Well, historically, I've had good luck with Pittsburgh's hex bit stuff. Not just bit sockets, but T-handles even. This dates back probably late 90s, early 2000s. The caveat, the very important caveat, the concerning thing to me is simply this. I've never really done anything taxing. Like this is probably some of these are really torqued. Like I'm talking my half-inch proto kind of flexes when I'm breaking them free, in part because I don't have like metric hex bits, you know, for an impact. But anyway, I digress. What I'm usually doing with them is light duty. I don't do anything like critical. I don't do anything torqued. It's basically simple stuff. And the other very key factor for what I've done with these to form a high opinion, it's been relatively almost always new fasteners. Okay, a lot of the times it's just a transit screw, you know, a grub screw, sort of like, think if you don't know what a grub screw is, take a bolt, lop the hex end off, and then machine out a hex insert, right, so you can thread it in. It would be flush instead of having the hex head sit out on the surface. A grub screw, okay. And it does that quite well. I've never broken one of the T-handles or one of the hex bit sockets, and I've never had a situation where it wouldn't turn something free, and I've never had a situation where I trying to break something free or trying to tighten something down a little bit of like round it over on the tool or the fastener. And if I did, it's not a huge deal because again, I'm going to break it free, I'm going to run something back in, you know. So high opinion, high praise. I've said that every time I brought these in. The general consensus from you, the viewer, is basically the same thing. I watch a lot of toolbox tours. You'll see people with, super specialized stuff they've accrued over like 40 years in an industry or career, whether that's like, industrial maintenance, aviation, automotive at a dealership, private, whatever it might be. And they'll generally have really nice stuff, right? Snap-on, a high-end tool truck brand, whatever dealer they've got in the area, whatever brand they used to have from a supplier or a tool truck when they started and did the bulk of their purchasing. Old school industrial brands, but a lot of times with the hex bit stuff, especially whether it's like somebody that was metric that went to SAE, through a career change, maybe from like working at a Toyota dealership to industrial maintenance, heavy duty machinery type of thing, or vice versa, it almost seems like what they stepped into, they just sort of like did what I did. I'm like in a pinch, and what can I get the quickest? I can run to Harbor Freight faster than KC Tool can come to me, and I probably could have met my Mac guy somewhere, but I'm like, well, I gotta wait until next week. And it always happens the day after he's been there, So this was the quickest, it was the cheapest, and it's kind of, it's got a track record with me. I know it's not complete junk. And that little guy right there has turned a lot of these in the short time I've had it doing that when it took over for the Cobra. And I mean, outside of the transfer of the paint, like, there's nothing egregiously wrong. This one has probably turned even more than that. It's a little 10 millimeter, and of course not a painted fastener. You can see the wear there, but if you note, it's still 6 points. There's 6 sides. It's not like we're folding over. The fasteners aren't showing like wear or anything egregiously bad. So that was getting me by. But again, I was already thinking like, okay, man, this is actually kind of more important now. And so it's not just like I'm filling a hole, so a customer's not like, hey, I'm worried about this type of thing. Is something missing? Can stuff get in there? It's like, oh geez, like the whole motor is, if this was SAE, I wouldn't have a problem, okay? Maybe there's like an odd duck fastener that's like massive, and I'm like, oh geez, I don't have a hex bit socket that size in the roll cart, I better grab one. But in the meantime, I'll use this giant L key from over here, or I'll go grab a bit socket from up front at this place. It's metric. I don't have that nowhere at work, right? Especially a 17. So this filled the void. What I want to know from you, do you mirror my sentiments where like, those are actually pretty good? Or are you like, no, those are junk? You should have got Icon. Keep in mind, when I started buying this stuff and having good luck with it, there was no Icon, there was no Quinn, it was Pittsburgh. Okay. It goes back that far, like late 90s, early 2000s. And again, as much luck and as good as they've done, I've never really pushed them, and I haven't done anything mission critical. When it was like stuff that was like, okay, it's important at the lathe or something, I always used Bondhus, I used Allen, literal Allen brand, and these were sort of just the convenient, like, hey, let's rip this apart type of a thing. These whole motors, just like a lot of the old SAE ones that were socket cap screws, well, it's like everything is socket cap screw, okay? So it's not just the 17 I'm going to have to deal with. There's a ton, 10, 6, all of it, okay? I don't even know them all yet because I don't have the sizes in. I haven't gotten to research them. But the end bell, just every component that fastens and attaches is a socket cap screw of some varying metric size. I'm sort of teaching it to myself as I go. That's the best way to learn, in my opinion. And so I know SAE real well, but like metric, I'm like, oh, what is that like? I go to my little gauge and I'm like, okay, M12, 14, M18, and what's the length? And I'm like, nope, I can't measure it in inches. It's metric. And so I go to the top and use that. And then I'm like, okay, this socket cap screw takes that, and this hex bolt over here is a 30, and just sort of mapping everything out for what I'm going to have to deal with, okay? So this was my quick fix. Like, I feel pretty good about it. I think it's going to get me going, but I don't know if I'm going to want to use it long term, and I don't know how well it's going to work when something comes back seized, or it's been in and out multiple times. Somebody tried to fix something and now it's coming back to me, and I'm like, what have you done to your fasteners? Your hardware's junked, So I was concerned. Something that I was very, very interested in was from Wera. If you recall, I bought a holding function for specifically the grub screws at work to make my life a little easier. So I'm kind of familiar with it, right? So what I did, I finally pulled the trigger. This was a pretty good pickup in my opinions, primarily based on the price. I grabbed this from Wera, and if you're thinking like, okay, cool, yeah, okay, and hopefully, if I'm not an idiot, I will have released all these tool hauls before you see this video, because otherwise that would ruin multiple tool hauls, right? So I'll just hope that gravity doesn't take over again and win, because it wins undefeated for the most part, right? So right here, this little gem, very nicely packaged. It's got a lot going for it. I've got this, and you're thinking like, okay, Wera Hex Plus profile, yeah, that's a win. You're like, what is that thing doing? Well, it's kind of like the Bondhus Pro Hold, and spoiler alert, I wanted to go the Bondhus route. And the problem is, like, that is very confusing to pick up, especially then when you think you figured it out through their website, and you got to purchase it, and all the places selling it have like placeholder items, and they conflict with the description, and you try to verify that from source A that you plan to buy from that has the best price, and source B conflicts, and it's like, I have no idea if I'm going to wind up with what I think I should wind up with after trying to research it across all these things. So I got frustrated, and I was like, you know what, let's just do it. And I just opened this up a second ago. That's why I'm making this video before it all goes to work. And if you were unaware, that's what the holding function does. Holding function is great going top down, so you don't drop fasteners, have to go fishing for them. While I do that sometimes with a little quarter one I was demoing out at work, this is more important to me, straight up. I'm working with something overhead, something heavy that could crush my skull. So what do I do as a not total idiot? I don't stand directly underneath it. It would be way easier if I did, right? I've got hoists and everything. The beams, they're all rated to hold the weight, shouldn't have a problem. Stuff fails. It never fails when you think it's going to. It fails unexpectedly, right? There's only one of me. I'd like to prolong my time as best I know, right? So I stand back here, and it's kind of like the tripod effect. You know, if I have to come in and like grab something, like, man, that guy's an idiot, why does he struggle? There's a tripod with a huge camera in front of me, right? So with these motors, if I'm pulling the feet off of a horizontal motor that's dual purpose and can be vertical, and I want it vertical in this case, guess what I've got to do? I've got to set things up, and I've got to run in, you know, like lifting brackets or something different than the feet. So this hand is now holding, you know, like a, I don't know, 3 to 12 pound bracket that I need to attach to the side of the motor. And if I'm sitting here having to hold my drive tool, you know, we'll just say a ratchet, and I'm having to then hold the fastener and the bracket, I've got 3 things going at once, right? So typically what you would do prior to having something like this, I'm going to come in and I'm going to try to start the fastener, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to get my drive tool, and in the case of this, you have to clock it just right and get everything to line up. If I can do this, I'm home free. Now, what happens a lot of times, I'm sitting here humming down, getting everything done, and intercom comes on, I've got to go do something else. Okay, customer walks in, hey, you need to do this with the fork, blah, 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 and I get interrupted, and so boom, you know, your flex head ratchet flops down. Where does your fastener go? Off. This is nice. This is very, very nice. Very, very useful. This is interesting. You're thinking like, okay, 4 through 17 was Harbor Freight, right? Yes, 100% correct. That's actually what this Wera set is. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got 5 here, we've got 4 here. It's the same set. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14, 17. In Harbor Freight setup, okay, 4 through 10 is 3/8 drive. In Wera, this whole set is 1/2 inch. Now they do make some in 3/8, right? But the one I needed the most was 17, and it's in this set. I priced them out individually. I was better off getting the set. 1/2 inch will be very nice, I'd say, for 10 and up, maybe even 8 if it's tight. But like, you start looking at these stems and you're like, man, you're gonna shear something. You're breaking that, or you're gonna tear the head out of the fastener. And yeah, when something's not recessed, that's what I'm afraid of. But long story short, I bought this on a Saturday at Harbor Freight, and then on Tuesday I'm like, you know what, I've thought about it for like a week. I'm just going to go ahead and pull the trigger here. Well, one of the people I'd run things by was my Mac guy. And I told him, I'm like, man, you got to see this stupid thing I'm having to deal with. It's 17 millimeter. I don't have that. You know, what should I do? And I was trying to see if he could get me the Bondhus Pro hold initially. And then I was like, would you do that? You know, or like, you know, go, what can you do proto? You know, and he's like, well, the Mac ones are here, you know, and they would cost this. And he goes, honestly, I think I might just jump the gun and go right to RBRT. And you can't say like the dude's a jerk and he's trying to upsell me, because you're like, RBRT, you could get by with something like that, man, and save money. The RBRT stuff is actually significantly cheaper than Mac's standard hex bits. And keep in mind, when I say standard, I mean like this, just finished out differently in Mac on the socket, maybe some nice knurling for us or something. They were pretty spendy. Okay, I'm not even going to try to hide that. RBRT, I still think was high. It was more expensive than the Wera. Wera's MSRP on this set's about $120. These I picked up basically for a tenth of that, $12. Holding function here, no holding function there. And the most expensive option, though, is right here. It is Mac's RBRT. And I did do this, and it's not because I told my dealer. He kind of like trying to help me out, because I told him, I'm like, man, you know, this sucks. I don't have any of that stuff. And he just went ahead and ordered it. I didn't technically tell him to order it, but, you know, the dude was trying to look out for me, help me out, have it, because he was afraid I would need it, type of a thing. And so I was like, yeah, I'll just go ahead and take it. Long term, this is where things get interesting, right? It's not just like the foot has to come off and I'm done with this. As I mentioned, the whole thing is metric socket cap screws, which that screws me over, because again, I deal in SAE, right? So coming back, when that stuff comes back to me, or if the factory, I mean, what if the factory's mangled this? Luckily, I know 12-inch Cobras can get it off. But what if it's like just hellaciously tight and I slam my knuckle in and I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore, I need a proper fastener. What if the factory drove this thing in with an impact or something and they basically fold the corners over? What am I going to do? Well, RBRT would be nice. That would be a very rare situation. Hopefully, don't have the track record with this new stuff to know for sure. But when it comes back to me, when somebody's dismantled the motor, when a customer's tried to do something, when it's, you know, torn apart, you know, some guy was like, I'm going to fix that thing, you know, type of a deal. When it's just back for service, you know, it's like, it'd probably be smart to put bearings in or something. All that is a metric cap screw. What's it going to be like when it's been out in the field and it's needing service and it's seized up, or it's not brand new virgin threads and it's been in the elements, it wasn't stored well, it's been in a moist, humid environment, it's been out in the rain, you know, lots of things start running through your mind. And long term, I'm not sure that this wouldn't be the better choice. But, because you got to remember, one of the things with RBRT that people forget, it's not just like, oh, okay, yeah, if that was mangled, man, you would not want that. You wouldn't want the holding function. You'd want this. Totally agree. But one of the selling points with RBRT is simply this. You can use it to install brand new, perfectly fine fasteners. You can use it to service brand new, perfectly fine fasteners. It doesn't have to be junked and everything's like rounded over. You've got like 2 points left that you can vaguely see. This will technically, as build, work brand new. What I'm doing with the quarter Wera, you know, my holding function at work, running in grub screws, I could totally use an RBRT there. Now, this, I'm going to test fit it, and that's actually a very good hold, right? This is actually a very good hold. Now, if I'm running this in as a daily driver, okay, and I'm like, yeah, this is awesome, it holds better than the holding function even, it's never dropped one on me, whatever my thoughts may be. what happens if I wear this down? I don't have the seat time with RBRTs to know like their shelf life. I know if I get to where this thing doesn't function or I snap it or whatever, my Mac guys already told me from previous purchase of 3/8 and quarter, which ironically stopped at 10. So it was no use to me with this thing. He's like, yeah, man, we just give you a whole new one. I was like, what do? Do you like punch that thing out and just give me a new bit or something I insert and press in? He's like, nope, you get a brand new. And so I'm like, well, okay, you know, it's kind of a lifetime deal, right? Technically the Pittsburgh is too. I just have to run up there. He'll come to me, but he's going to come once a week unless I meet him probably. Wera, you know, I assume it's got an okay warranty on it, but probably the least easiest to deal with in terms of like the logistics of time and downtime and whatnot. So I went from like socket poor because I didn't need it, I didn't care to own it, like I'm not just gonna like fill spaces. I did have these, you know, the Pittsburgh ones, nothing fancy or expensive, just in case here at the house, and boy, it came in handy because I had to take the one that, if I had to pick one of these that I thought I'd never use, it would have been that guy, the 17, the biggest one. And then it became very important all of a sudden. I'm like, oh geez. So you've kind of got something from all walks here. You've got super cheap, super affordable lifetime warranty at Harbor Freight for, again, 12 bucks and change. We'll just call it 15, right? You've got this from Wera, a fairly comprehensive set, 4 through 10, half-inch drive with holding function for $120. So you've kind of got like the Hex Plus people coming in. And then for a little bit more, you've got the RBRT stuff from Mac, $159. So made in Taiwan, made in Taiwan. This standalone 19 I bought from Wera actually does say made in the Czech Republic. I am torn. I don't know if they're doing the bit and the socket is Taiwan. I don't know. I just know it's good. I don't care if it was made in Germany, Slovenia, Austria, Hungary, Spain, France, UK, Texas, you know, New Orleans, the meth slum, you know, outside LA's downtown district. I don't care. It's good. Okay, that's what matters to me. These, Taiwan, again, I don't care. They're good. Would I prefer they be all in, you know, America, Japan, Germany? Sure, okay. But when something works, it works, and if it comes with a better price tag, that makes it even better. So I don't have the Mac option here, or Proto option, which would be significantly more than even our expensive player at $160 for the RBRT set. But the outlier here, the odd thing, 19. You're thinking like, oh, that's cool. They included the 19. Pittsburgh has this gap right here. Guess what would fit really nicely there for your half-inch drive to fill it out? That's right, a 19. Wera, what is this set that starts at 4 in all half-inch drive? Keep in mind, Pittsburgh 3/8 through 10 is, or I should say 4 through 10, 3/8 drive, 12, 14, 17, half. Presumably your 19 would follow suit if they had it. Wera over here, they've got it set up slightly differently. They've got everything half-inch. And 4 through 17. You're like, man, that's sad. The Hex people don't do a 19. Well, they do, and that's why I bought it, but you got to get it standalone. Doesn't make sense to me. Seems like it would be there. Again, maybe, I don't know. This is like oddly, rarely used type of a thing. I'm not a metric person, okay? Not privy, all right? But it is there, it is available. We did pick it up just in case. Beautiful thing about Mac, sort of being the higher end tool truck professional brand, whatever you want to call it, they've got the 19. Here's what sucks. 19, 17, okay. Let me try to find where they put the sizes on this thing. Boy, did they not? Oh, that is shameful stuff there. Oh, I guess okay, never mind. It's the H19, so it's like Hex 19. I was like, what in the world have they done? 19, 17, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, and you're like, complete it? 10. No, there's not a 10. There's not a 10. This is 11 through 19. So you're kind of getting some stuff you don't have with the others, but you're missing the 10. It's just so strange. And then Wera doesn't have an SAE equivalent in half. Pittsburgh doesn't even offer a 19. You can't get the downsizes in half. They're 3/8. I almost think Pittsburgh almost probably has it how I would meter it out, although the 10, I would kind of like to have some leeway where it could go both directions. RBRT is doing a great job, but then boom, nothing, because if I go down to my big set of Torx and hex bits, I've got a 3/8 drive 10, but there's not a 1/2 inch. I have my dealer check. There's not a 1/2 inch 10. Like, you gotta be kidding me, man. So where things stand, this is 100% going to work. This is 100% going to work. I think I'm going to leave these at home for now, okay? In the not too distant future, they might be headed back to work. But for now, I think I'm going to leave them here. I'm tempted to buy the SAE iteration, just so I've kind of built that out, and then I've got my hub of RBRT here. I don't know that I will ever use it. I guess now that I have them, maybe. But again, like, I like old stuff. I like old Mopars. I don't have to deal with this stuff in old Mopars, right? So it's kind of just a catch-22. And again, can't fault my dealer. I didn't tell him to order it, but he was kind of looking out for me and thought, like, okay, he's going to be up a creek and I don't stock that. I better get one for him. And it's like, I was probably going to buy it eventually. I just assumed do it now before like price goes up or something. But this is stupid affordable. This, for what it is, and having the holding function, is, I would say, quite reasonable. But it's kind of questionable with the 1/2 inch drive all the way down to 4. Like, that's quite small for 1/2 inch drive. And then of course this is, I can't get my 10. So what I want to know from you, what do you make of this, and what would you have done? What would you stick with? What would you set up, and where? Again, with what I have to do, the holding function is actually very valuable to me. Now, this RBRT fit that like a glove and held it super good, maybe even tighter than that. But do I want to put the mileage just doing virgin removals and virgin fresh hardware installs and maybe accrue some wear on that, and then when I'm actually needing to extract a bad fastener, I've lost some of the life cycle? I don't know. Like, I don't have enough experience with the RBRT stuff to be like, yeah, you could totally use that on brand new stuff, but you don't want to do that. It's treated as a specialty fastener, you know, specialty socket for limited circumstances and extend the lifespan. I don't know. So what I'm doing, this is going to go there. This will kind of be like general purpose backup, and then this will be more frequently used and have that as a backup, maybe, right? Because it's always important to me. I like, not necessarily saying you have like two 15/16 sockets in your roll cart that are 6-point, but have some way of covering it, right? If I shatter, if I blow up a 15/16 impact socket, I've got a 12-point chrome. If I crack that, I've got the impact. If I forgot to replace my impact socket, or it's out being warranted or something, and I split the chrome, and I'm like, oh geez, guess what? In 3/8 drive, I have 15/6. I kind of cover what I know I use frequently. And so kind of having the ability to tandem between those two, and then knowing in reserve I have these waiting in the wings, I guess it's the way to go. I don't know. Maybe I should keep the Wera at home minus the 17 and 10 or something that I'm frequently using currently, and stick the RBRT. I don't really know. It's kind of weird situations you get yourself into, but I think for the time being, backup, frequent use, and convenience, because I mean that is a big deal to me. And then these will stay here, so you can come in and tell me like, dude, I use RBRT for everything. I don't even have plain hex bits anymore. And there's like, no, if you're using virgin fasteners, brand new, not down, it's not going to phase the sidewalls. It's not going to wear it down. Or you can tell me, hey, that's what it was billed to me as. They said use it for everything, so I did. And then I went to use it on something, and it worked great. But then in the size I use all the time, it just wasn't biting, and I determined it's because I was using it as my daily driver. This is stuff I will find out over time, but I don't know now. I've got to get seat time with all of it. Like I said, the quarter holding function I have at work, 3/8 drive, it's been great. There are times the fastener comes off, and I don't quite know if it's like a fastener thing, if it's just like certain angles or weights or enough physics and everything crosses over at the exact inconvenient time, you know. But it hadn't failed yet. It has worn, I believe, a little bit, but it's like wearing well, and the ball is still in there, and it's still holding the fastener. So it's just one of those things. It's going to take more time. But yeah, I have a rare opportunity here where I've got Wera, Pittsburgh, and this, and it's all kind of the same thing with different means and different features, very different price points. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, because again, great, latest and greatest technology, extractor, very recent technology, super convenient, Hex Plus profile, which is great on its own, stupid cheap, stupid affordable, warranted, and honestly, with what I've done with those, they've proven themselves quite solid. And my fear was doing something that's got way more torque and a bigger drive size. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. How good are these? Like, they've been very impressive with what I've done, but what I've done wasn't exactly the most taxing thing, right? It's sort of like if I've driven my motorcycle, you know, down and back, you know, around the block a few times, and then it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do Route 66, man. It's like, well, it's done really good, but it's never technically gone farther than like 10 miles, just multiple blocks or close to home. Like, is it really roadworthy? Shouldn't I like maybe test it out on the interstate, you know, maybe like run 100 miles round trip, see how it does, fill out any issues? So that's sort of the point I'm at. RBRT, I've had okay luck with it. But again, while it's awesome, you could use it daily, like, does that eventually screw me over in the long run? I don't know. I don't have the seat time there. So if you have any thoughts, opinions, experience with these things, feel free to let us know. Again, this is just kind of a nice cross section. You got dirt cheap, but, you know, seemingly pretty good based on my experience and what others have told me based on the times I've said, you know, these are actually kind of good. You've got the latest and greatest technology off of a tool truck, and then you've got Wera, which is, again, if I had to pick one thing that I think Wera does extremely well, it's their Hex Plus profile on their L keys and their bit sockets and all that sort of a thing, right? So you've got $12, 120, and 160. It is what it is, and I'm kind of excited to see how it all pans out. But yeah, your first-hand feedback, real-world experiences, leave them, help people out. That's the end goal. I'm kind of already here. I'd made the decision to go this route, and then unbeknownst to me, had my dealer just told me, hey man, you know, I ordered those RBRTs for you, you know, you want to get them tomorrow? I'd have been like, oh yeah, cool. And guess what I wouldn't have done? I wouldn't have bought that. I would have been like, well, I'll just roll this route and see how it goes. But I literally, and I do this stuff so late at night, it was Wednesday, basically. So Tuesday to me, like after midnight, I don't do it until the sun comes up. So Tuesday nights when I bought these, my Mac guy comes 12 hours later type of a thing, right? You know, and boom, here they are. Like, geez. Just the way things go sometimes. But like I said, long run, probably wise, probably good solution overall, and possibly good. It's kind of the unknown there. So great with what I've done, but I've never taxed them to the points they would be taxed in this application. So if all this stuff sucks, I'm going Bondhus. I'll just have to try and like verify somehow or something and go to town that way. So Eklund something, we'll figure it out. Okay, but yeah, your thoughts and opinions always appreciated. I'm gonna go get a drink, get something to eat, and hopefully see the end of the Knicks and Celtics. So as always, I thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, hope you learned a little something, maybe got the gears in your head turning as you're trying to like figure out, what would I do in that case? You know, go with my dealer suggestions, get the German tool equivalent, or just go with Harbor Freight, you know, for better or worse. It's kind of an unknown here, again, with the application. So we're going to just feel it out in real time. And for those of you that don't want to do that, hopefully you find this video, and between me and what I've relayed to you, and of course everyone in the comments, maybe you'll get like some general guidance, you know, like yeah, should have just gone RBRT and not mess with that. You know what? I'd go Harbor Freight until you start having issues. Or, dude, this is the best option by far. Scrap that stuff. And, that's where you come in. But every Wednesday and Saturday at 9 a.m. Texas time, we have new videos coming out. YouTube should notify you if you ring the bell. If you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to do that. If you need more in your life from me and the crazy stuff I get myself involved in, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. And just like we have to improvise here because of this, we just did a random ending there. You think I know what I'm going to say? Jump the Charger across the creek, the general order? No. We change it up every once in a while. But not often, because change sucks most times. So. That said, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Most importantly, as always, I hope I catch you back here for more on the shop.